Entitled mother refuses to look after me when I have a kidney infection. This happened a year ago and my M thinks she did nothing wrong still. This happened when I 18F was 16 and I was still living with my M. I woke up one morning in extreme pain coming from my bladder when I went to the bathroom that morning with huge blood clots leaving my body. My M took me to the doctors right away and they had to take a sample of my urine. I should also mention I was struggling to walk as the pain was that bad. Anyway, after looking at the sample and doing some tests, I was diagnosed with a kidney infection, but luckily I did not need to go to AE. I was taken home and had to miss college. My BF still together and I were only dating for a week at that point, but I called him and told him what had happened so he could not see me that day. He said he would come over as soon as he finishes all his classes for that day to come look after me. Well, throughout the whole day my mother refused to feed me, give me pain meds, or even see me despite the fact I had started to develop a fever and started to become very sick. By the time my BF came around he checked my temperature and said I was too hot to touch and opened all the windows in my room and found a fan to try and cool me down. After this whole thing I was finally able to sleep and he kept an eye on me as he let me sleep on his chest. When I woke up he had some pain meds for me to take and told me my M would not tell him where they were, so he had to ask my younger brother who had no idea I was sick. He thought I was still at college, bless him, so they raided the kitchen until they found some. Seconds later my M offered my BF food and my stomach growled, but she chose to ignore that. My BF heard this and said he wanted a cheese toastie but would like it cut in half. She did just that and he gave me the other half whilst she just glared at him. My BF stayed till 10 p.m. to make sure I was alright and had his parents pick him up. After he left she banned him from coming over and I asked why. I was given no reason. I told him the next day and guess what, he turns up in his rugby uniform and stayed for another 2 hours before leaving for his rugby. To say she was pissed was an understatement. He laughed the next day when I was able to return to college when I told him what happened. The thing is my M has never fed me when I am sick or have an infection. I do not know why, but that is how it is. However, she always makes sure my younger brother is fed and well medicated whenever he is sick, so I think he is just favored more than me. I should mention my brother is not entitled but is one of the sweetest people I know and is famous for his hugs in his primary school, and about a month later I moved out of her home into my awesome dad and stepmom's. I have been loving it there ever since. My BF, dad and stepmom all get along great, so I am happy for that. 1. You have an amazing and caring boyfriend. 2. What the absolute duck is wrong with your mother? Full offense. Your mum is an abuser. Your mum seems to be a massive jerk. Is an abuser. FIFY. Seconding the abuser comment. Also, am I the only one that wonders if she was pissed they found the pain meds because she planned to take them herself? I can't imagine why you would go to the trouble of going to pick them up just to withhold them from your sick child, but to be fair, I can't imagine pulling any of this bullshit. That is because you are at least a decent person with morals. OP's female birthing unit is an addict and or a borderline. You have to earn the right to be called a mother. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is what a good man looks like. Not a good man. He is a king. Better than a god. Maybe as good as Keanu Reeves. Hey, don't push a diddly Dan luck or I am gonna have to diddly Dan snap her neck. Their buddy chum pal friend amigo home slice bread slice. Sounds more like an abusive mother than entitled here. Not saying she isn't entitled in general, just this is crossing another line. This story reminds me a lot of a kidney infection I had over 10 years ago when I lived with my mum. I was so feverish my teeth were chattering and I was in agonizing pain. It was summer so I didn't even have school to miss, but my mother just rolled her eyes and walked to the other room when I asked to be taken to the hospital. I heard her saying on the phone I was attention seeking. Eventually, after days of this, I had to walk myself to the doctors where I was told it was at the point of being dangerous. Like yours, my mother was the worst if I showed signs of illness. Unless she has solid evidence I was faking and clearly found me unbearable. My mother did have the decency to act guilty after it was clear her negligence had put me in danger. Now over 10 years on I am no contact with her. This sort of thing is not normal or acceptable on any level. At 16 your mother had a legal obligation to take care of you when you were ill. Her neglecting to care for you and even seeming to try to stop your boyfriend boyfriend accessing medication to care for you was abuse. You deserve to feel safe and looked after. I am glad you have such a supportive boyfriend who stepped up when you needed him. Agreed, this is abusive and not acceptable. My mother would always try get me to a doctor or hospital anytime I had any kind of cold ache injury. Even now that I am 30, she will try to convince me to go to the doctor if I start to show any kind of cold symptoms. Parents are supposed to provide a safe and secure environment for their child and should take care of them when sick or injured. How did she react to you moving out? She got mad and proceeded to tell me she did not want me and went no contact for 3 months, as well as she got my ex-best friends at the time to bully me into going home by making me sound like the bad guy. I never understand people like this. They treat you like dirt then get personally offended when you leave, like she showed you with her actions if not her words that she didn't want you there, but then gets angry when you leave. Do not you see? Being mommy's personal punching bag was their job. How dare they assert themselves and leave. How are your kidneys doing? Glad you're in a better place. I did say I have definitely matured from this, and people say I am a lot kinder now and I am no longer a brick wall to talk to. I think they were trying to spell kidneys LOL. When I was 18, I developed a kidney infection. It had been going on for months, but I just thought I was sick. No big deal. Then one day, I am talking to my sister and apparently, my body shut down. I basically fell asleep while talking. She rushed me to the doctors, who examined me, determined I had a kidney infection, admonished me for waiting so long to seek help, and threatened to put me in the hospital because the infection was so bad. My sister took care of me, and a few days later, I called my mum. She was living in California after abandoning me the year prior, and told her about the kidney infection. Her response: well, that is what happens when you have a lot of sex. I almost died and all she could do was slut shame me. The thing is, my M has never fed me when I am sick or have an infection. I do not know why, but that is how it is. That's the only opportunity the pile of shit you call mother has to legally torture you and enjoy your suffering. Basically the same as handcuffing and beating someone with a piece of bamboo, but not literally. Why do you think she hides your MEDS and makes you starve? She's a terrible person and doesn't deserve you. OP. I do not really know. She became like this after her and my dad divorced when I was 5, and then got worse when her dad died, leaving her and her older siblings parentless. She was abusive towards my dad and my nan. His mom told me he would call her crying sometimes, but he only stayed because he was worried about me and my brother. She went psycho when she found out my stepmom and dad split up for a bit, and even tried to win him back when she has a boyfriend. Her attempts failed and they got back together and married when I was 13. Best part was I was a bridesmaid and played the flute after they said I do and sat down. I practiced for the whole 6 months to get the song just right. You said you favor your dad in looks. She probably resents that. Still no excuse for her abusing you. Glad you are out of there. I thought so too. OP said she and her mother are nothing alike, and she said she took after her dad in looks, and it's possible she takes after him in terms of personality as well. OP might remind her mother of her father, so she's unfairly taking her resentment and anger out on OP. Your mom sounds like a narcissist and she gets jealous of the special attention you get when you are sick. It's like the opposite of Munchausen by proxy syndrome. This is not entitlement. This is straight up abuse. OP, tell your BF he dropped this. Okay, so here is the issue. Your mother is a big sweaty bellend. I have a crush on your BF now. Me too. And I am a straight guy. Guess I am gay now. Nah, you a bead. I am sorry to read this, but I don't see where she's an entitled mother. If things are as you say, then she's just an asshole. She has taken over $501,000 out of the trust fund my dad set up and took years to remember to pay back for it. Hit me when I stood up for myself. Said to my face 3 days after my 16th birthday she never wanted to have me. Spread rumors about me to all our family and friends. Got me disowned by her side of her family. Believed she was entitled to force me on medication that the doctor said I did not need and stuff like that. She sounds more like a narcissist than an entitled mother. You should check out Around I Seed Be Narcissists. My mum is similar to yours. She once threw dishes at me while I was sick and passed out on the couch. I was so sick I got admitted to the hospital the next day, and she threw plates at me because I had tried to eat some toast and left the plate in the sink because I could not stand any longer to clean it right away. She once threw dishes at me while I was sick and passed out on the couch. I was so sick I got admitted to the hospital the next day, and she threw plates at me because I had tried to eat some toast and left the plate in the sink because I could not stand any longer to clean it right away. Wow, sounds ducked up. Mind sharing on more of the details? Your mother isn't entitled. She's crazy. As a mum to a 3-year-old who usually does not do love and affection whenever my daughter is sick, all I want to do is baby the heck out of her. I use it as my time to get my snuggle intake. She gets so cuddly when she's poorly. I give her anything she fancies eating or drinking and give her anything to help her feel better because it hurts me to see her not her usual happy, hyper self. It is like a natural compulsion to want her to feel better and to do anything to make her feel better, so I 100% do not understand any parent who can just ignore their child's really sick. Your partner though, he is a hella keeper for looking after you and even going against your mum's word to make sure you are okay. I am also glad to hear you're in a better place and happier for it. You could have gotten her arrested, I think. Is not it child abuse when you're 16? If this was in a nation where you become an adult 16, see no revenge. Well, there was a small bit of revenge. My dad pays a little more than the child support order given, but now I moved out she has to pay us a bit of money, and a few months ago is told she will no longer be receiving pay as she forgotten to report in some documents and still has to pay us money. They are doing an investigation which could lead towards us having to have more custody of my younger brother and him coming to live with us most of the time and her only being allowed to see him once every 2 weeks. As it seems, that would be better for all of you. Hope you will update on this when you know more. That is rough. As far as I can tell, you're out there, so it is better. Just do not let the way your mother treated you become your own habit, and do not take that kind of SHT from anyone anymore. Trust me, I am not going to become like her. When I have kids, I am going to raise them both with the equal love and respect they deserve. What is wrong with her? Like, why are people like this creating families and destroying innocent lives? How can a mother not feel anything for her kid? I am so sorry you had to go through this. People do not think before making a family. They think like it is a game or something. Glad you got away from that toxic woman and went to a great place. Definitely medical neglect. So sorry your mother is abusive. Very glad to hear you are out of that dreadful environment. Okay, a boyfriend, but I am fairly certain that refusing to take care of your child when they are sick counts as abuse. Holy shit. I am so sorry that she did that, but reading it now, just because she's a narcissist and abusive, I think it's because, in all honesty, when it comes to some people like that, they choose their golden child and the bad kid as they see it in their eyes. They figured that you are not worth their time or even attention, and when she gave your boyfriend the attention, she'd rather see you in pain because I think she gets a kick out of it. At least you got out of there, but always be careful that when you get an abusive person like that and say now that you are gone from them anything that they don't like, or even if you just did something to slight them, they will either have a full-on scream fest or throw hands because you bruised their ego. I hope that at least of anything you never have to deal with that abuse again, and if she even does anything, tells someone about it so that way you don't have to ever deal with it again, because I think she just enjoys being a bully and enjoys seeing you in pain while your sibling gets all the golden treatment. I am just glad that your brother isn't entitled or anything. You are saying BF, but you mean husband, right? I really hope so in the future. He is my world and I do not want to lose him. Reading things like this really makes me appreciate my mom, even now that I am out of the house, a full-grown woman with a partner, and if I get sick or injured, my mom bends over backwards to help me and make sure I am comfortable and have everything I need. A couple of years ago, my SO and I had an accident and fell from his motorcycle, and I hurt my leg. I called my mom in a panic because it hurt really bad and I am scared of ambulances. She came rushing and took me to the ER, all the time in a frenzy because she was horrified I was not able to walk. After they put a cast on my leg, we stayed on her house for 2 weeks because she could not handle the thought of me being alone all day while my SO was at work. What if needed something, was her logic, and she has always been like that. So I am very sorry to hear not everyone's mom is caring and loving. I am glad you are better off now, OP. I wonder why your dad left her. Turns out after I was born she slowly became abusive and extremely manipulative towards him, and when they had my brother it got to the point where she hit him over the dishwasher. I am glad the two of you got out of that situation. Let me tell you what everyday life is like. Had that infection been allowed to rage, I cannot tell if I have to pee anymore. Like, at all. I can hold it just fine as well as any mother of two anyway, but the only reason I do not piss myself on the daily is the thought I have to have several times every day. It has been a while since I went. That never goes away. I live with that forever now. That is not covering all the pain from the stones I effortlessly create. They need broken up every few years due to getting large enough fast enough that they started fill my kidney. Shockwave lithotripsy does not work due to the density, so treatment sucks to say the least. Not all those pains are obvious. Sometimes it is just intense nausea, vomiting when it flares, which is not an uncommon occurrence. I could probably name 100 other daily or near it tortures it causes, but that is the most obvious ones. I have broken down in tears that my kids might know how it is themselves one day. In my case, it would not even be my own negligence, but genetic predisposition. I worry about future grandkids who do not exist, because it is very likely to be them. The kidney aspect of the family EDS seems stronger in every other generation, but mine might have an underlying source. But all the same, never ignore a UTI. It might be a common thing people do not consider a big deal, but my god, can it spiral out of control and quick. What the heck kind of mother would be ok with this even slight possibility when it can be helped? I'm very angry for you. I feel you. I have EDS as well and was just recently diagnosed with neurogenic bladder because of my EDS, and I now have to self-catheterize myself multiple times a day because I cannot always pee on my own, and when I do, I am unable to empty my bladder all the way. This is after spending almost 3 months with a Foley catheter after going to the ER with urinary retention because I could not pee for over 12 hours and they drained just over a liter of urine from my bladder when they put the Foley in. He couldn't find your pain MEDS because your mother took them. I hope you are still with that man as a king. I like the way you renamed grilled cheese sandwiches to cheese toasties. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.